Good morning, my freaky friends. This is your friend King Julian. Today with yet another very special video. We've spent a week with this beautiful machine. Today is sadly the day I need to return it. So let's recap our experience, shall we?
In today's video, I'm bringing you the highly anticipated, detailed review of the 2022 Honda CRF1100L Africa Twin Adventure Sports ES DCT. Adventure Sports is a version of a big adventure touring motorcycle, which according to Honda was built for long-distance touring across the continents. Judging by this claim, I would expect the new Africa Twin to provide a rider with high comfort on long-distance journeys, self-confidence in any terrain, plenty of storage space and high durability and reliability. In addition to that, from a bike with adventure sports in name, I would expect a torquey, powerful engine of a fairly sporty character, which would contribute to a strong fun element. But are my assumptions anywhere close to reality? The full model name, which can be barely fit on an A4 sheet, already suggests that this version of the legendary bike will be something special. Adventure Sports is the big sister of the original Africa Twin, with a more massive front mask, adjustable windshield and a bigger fuel tank. The abbreviations ES and DCT stand for electronic suspension and dual clutch transmission. The robust body of this machine weighs 250 kilograms and it's powered by 1084cc liquid-cooled twin-cylinder engine, which produces maximum power of 101 HP at 7,500 RPM and a maximum torque of 105 Nm at 6,250 RPM. The engine meets the Euro 5 emissions standard and has a very solid sound, even in stock, which I will gladly demonstrate. The fuel tank has volume of amazing 24.8 liters, and according to the official specs, the motorcycle should be able to achieve an average fuel consumption of 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers in the DCT version. The suspension on the ES model comes from Showa and consists of a 45mm inverted telescopic front fork and a rear single shock, both equipped with the Showa EERA technology. This technology basically adjusts the damping force relative to the selected mode and aims to ensure a high-quality suspension reaction in diverse conditions. Nissin brakes on this bike consist of two 310mm discs in front with radial 4-piston calipers and one 256mm hydraulic disc with radial single-piston caliper at the rear. The main message is they do their job really nicely, even on a bike of this size and weight. The gorgeously looking golden wire-spoked wheels come in case of my demo bike with the Karoo Street stock tires by Metzler. In addition to the small side stand, this version comes also with a large central stand, which I honestly never used simply because I didn't dare to. Already in its default setup, this motorcycle comes with a truly premium extensive electronic package. This includes throttle-by-wire technology, ABS on both wheels, which can also be disabled, adjustable traction control, aka Honda selectable torque control, adjustable wheelie control, adjustable power and engine braking levels, full LED lighting system, full color 6.5-inch TFT display equipped with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and Bluetooth connectivity, along with a smaller LCD panel, USB connector and even a power plug, for God's sake. Fun fact, the DCT version further comes with cruise control and heated grips as standard. Mind blown yet? The aforementioned electronic ingredients are carefully mixed and baked into 4 default riding modes, or can be fully customized by rider in 2 fully adjustable user modes, which we'll come back to later. Finally, it's time to show you how these impressive technical parameters translate into everyday reality. In other words, it's time to hop on the new Africa. With my 177 centimeters height and a slight stiffness in hips, it is impossible for me to get on this motorcycle other than with the assistance of the foot pegs, literally like if I was getting in the saddle of a horse. When I lower both of my legs to the ground, I can only stand on the tips of my toes, and even that is only possible thanks to the cleverly shaped, relatively narrow saddle. With one foot on the ground, however, I can reach a surprisingly comfortable position and I do not feel any pressure on the standing leg. Though it is not ideal not to be able to fully reach the ground with both feet flat, it's fair to add that this is an issue only when I try to maneuver the bike manually. At the same time, this is the only moment when I feel its weight in the saddle. For off-the-saddle maneuvering, one should also have a certain physical strength, since this baby definitely is no lightweight. The real feeling of lightness, comfort and freedom comes as soon as you take off. I immediately forget about her robustness and weight and feel like Aladdin on a flying carpet.
I'm amazed by how nimble and light this motorcycle feels. And how great in turns, it's really wow. Effortless. Confidence inspiring, beautiful. Same goes for the suspension. I don't really need to watch out for any potholes, but I do anyway because I'm responsible and it is not my bike. But I'm pretty confident our lady Jolene here wouldn't get hurt at all.
The position of the foot pegs is quite comfortable, though on my first full day trip I realized that it is probably slightly sportier than I initially thought. On the other hand, we are talking about an adventure bike, which is why you need as many contact points as possible and a very good stability on your feet, whether you are sitting in the saddle or standing on the foot pegs, which is especially important for off-road adventures. The downside is, with legs bent in this relatively sharp angle, you might begin to feel a bit of discomfort in your knees after a longer time in the saddle. I personally felt it already after 2 hours. Other than that, I have to say I am happy with the pleasantly wide handlebars, as well as with the rear view mirrors that sufficiently show both sides of the road behind me. Thanks to the upright position on the motorcycle, I do not feel any pressure on my wrists or elbows, and my lower back is straight and relaxed too. The saddle is long enough and spacious enough so I can comfortably adjust my seating position at any time. The ergonomics of the motorcycle control buttons seem natural and add to the overall comfort too, which is especially true for the controls that I need to use while riding, whether it's switching between the modes and manual shifting on the left hand side or operating my favorite cruise control on the right hand side. The only very Honda specific feature which takes a little getting used to is the traditionally switched position of klaxon and turn signal. However, as a former happy Honda owner, I can confirm that this is really just a matter of habit. And what about passenger comfort, you ask? This is definitely an element of comfort to be considered, so here we go. I took my charming pillion for a little trip and she was truly amazed by the level of comfort on this bike. The seat is wide and soft enough, she can use the enormously big handles when she needs to hold on to something, and she can also rest her back against the top case with padding. Furthermore, she appreciates the comfort provided by the suspension. She said at times she basically felt like if she was in a car. The only criticism Africa Twin received is that when there were too many imperfections on the road, the top case began to shake and bang against her back, which of course didn't feel nice. However, in any other situation, my pillion felt very secure and comfortable. I gotta admit, I was really nervous before I got this bike. Not just because of its respectable dimensions and weight. I was afraid I would not manage to get familiar with a ton of electronics in just 1 week. I thought I'd only use a tiny fraction of what it has to offer, and also I feared that I would simply dislike the automatic transmission. Fortunately, I was pleasantly surprised after all. DCT is a pretty useful accessory for long journeys, which is exactly what I really appreciate it. Automatic shifting can also be switched to manual if necessary. However, in the context of DCT, this means merely operating the transmission through use of plus and minus levers on the left-hand side of the handlebar, since the motorcycle does not have any clutch or shifter lever. By the way, you can use the manual shifters when the bike is in the fully automatic mode too. This comes in very handy at times, since the DCT in standard drive mode is keeping the motorcycle in constantly low revs and relatively high gears, probably to achieve the best possible fuel economy.
I go 50 and the bike is in 5th gear. That's not really how I would manage it.
This can be a problem though, especially in situations when I need an immediate engine pull, for example when I need to overtake cars. The problem with revs can be partially solved by sport shifting mode with 3 possible levels of intensity. In this mode, the motorcycle is generally kept in higher revs and not afraid to wait a bit longer before the upshift or to downshift and get the instant kick when you aggressively release the throttle.
Okay, sports mode. Woo! Dude!
But would this mean that the DCT is able to fully mimic the same level of control over the bike that the rider would have with manual transmission? Personally, I wouldn't dare to say so. We'll come back to this later. I think that the automatic transmission on this motorcycle is perfectly suitable mainly for calm, mentally stable, passionate travelers who like to enjoy superb level of comfort and an undisturbed ride, mostly during on-road adventures. If you care about my personal preference, I would rather go for Africa Twin with a traditional manual transmission, and as a practical accessory I would definitely choose Quickshifter. What really impressed me though is the fully electronically adjustable suspension. This is a top-notch technology, which represents the absolute peak of practicality and comfort. The new Africa is setting an imaginary bar really extremely high here. With just a couple of clicks, I adjusted the preload to 2 persons and a luggage. With fully loaded panniers, plus extra 50 kilograms in form of my charming pillion, I really felt no difference in handling at all. This bike's suspension truly is a game changer. What's also worth mentioning is the TFT display, which is large, full color, very well readable and gorgeous, plus it has a touchscreen, which I never forgot to mention as I was showing off to my friends. The TFT can be set in light or dark colors, or even to an automatic mode where it decides which color scheme to choose based on current light conditions. In addition, several possible graphics with different levels of detail can be set on it. These are also demonstrated in the riding modes, where the travel one contains the most detailed information and the rest use simpler, sportier looking graphics with less details. Speaking of the riding modes, rider can choose from the following predefined options: Tour, Urban, Gravel and Off-road. These activate electronics at different levels and interfere with the controls of the motorcycle according to certain logical assumptions. For example, the Tour mode combines the highest level of power for a fully loaded motorcycle with a passenger and luggage, a medium engine braking level and an active ABS system. Urban mode is probably the most versatile option, which uses medium power and engine braking levels in combination with the active ABS system. Off-road mode uses a relatively low power level, the lowest engine braking level and the active ABS system with a setting for off-road, which can be turned off for the rear wheel. Gravel mode has almost identical settings to those of off-road, except it offers the lowest power level and thus the least sensitive throttle response, and the ABS system for the rear wheel cannot be turned off. Beside the predefined options, there are 2 fully customizable modes, User 1 and User 2, that offer the possibility of 2 completely individual settings. I can choose from power levels, engine braking levels and further set up parameters of traction control system, wheelie control and ABS for traveling and off-road. Last but not least, I want to comment on the overall logic and intuitiveness of use, with which I am extremely satisfied, since even a mentally challenged moron like me with no experience at all managed to get familiar with pretty much everything within the first 24 hours without a user manual. A cherry on top of the cake of the electronic package is the full LED lighting system with addition of cornering lights, which operates just excellently at night. The new Africa is practically exactly in what it is designed for: long trips across diverse terrain. For a top-notch adventure bike, a solid fuel range is a must. Honda claims a potential range of over 500 km in the spec sheet, considering the spec consumption of 4.8 liters per 100 km for the DCT version, which I personally can neither confirm nor deny. During my test, however, I reached a total average consumption of 5.7 liters with a combined ride in the city, on countryside and for large part also on the motorway. With one full tank, I had a range of approximately 450 kilometers, and I really did not care about economical riding, although for the sake of completeness, I have to add that the vast majority of time I rode in the standard drive mode with the assistance of the automatic transmission. Personally, I am very satisfied with the fuel range. Having to look for a gas station only once in a whole week with more than 600 kilometers under my belt on this bike was a very comfortable and liberating experience. An ideal feature for a high-performing adventure bike. But what other features would a passionate traveler like me look for? Of course, one needs to pack up properly. This is possible thanks to the optional 3 solid aluminum panniers which my test bike came with. The top case has a capacity of 42 liters and easily swallows a helmet with gloves, which I appreciated especially in the city, as I finally didn't have to carry plenty of gear everywhere with me. The side panniers have a volume of 37 liters on the left-hand side and 33 liters on the right-hand side, and can easily cope with a large laptop or even moto boots, which I appreciated especially on work days. With this bike, me and my better half could easily go for the next travel week together without any issues with packing at all. But of course, only under assumption of certain modesty. Another undeniable benefit of the aluminum panniers is their extreme durability, thanks to which they can also fulfill a certain protective function, which I'll comment on later. In addition, they are very well sealed, so you don't even need a waterproof inner cover just in case. The only disadvantage seems to be that in heavy city traffic you can forget about lane splitting. But on the other hand, if you do not need the panniers, they can be easily removed. But regardless, is this bike suitable for city life at all? One fact is that only a few chosen ones can afford to buy this machine exclusively for traveling. Thus, the question of a certain versatility for an owner who may also want to use it in everyday life needs to be answered. Despite the fact that I feel very good on Africa Twin even on the city streets, its robustness sometimes bothers me. Little manual maneuvers definitely feel more comfortable and safe on a machine with less than 200 kilos, and in traffic I need to actively think about her dimensions. So to close this chapter, this bike is certainly practical and very well designed, but is definitely not built with the perfect city riding experience in mind.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Africa Twin is a big toy for the big boys that offers something to excite you in pretty much any situation, whether it's a simple ride on a perfectly balanced adventure bike or a wide range of electronic adjustability which allows you to enjoy a ride almost under any conditions. Moreover, with its elegantly sharp design, it really attracts attention. In all honesty, it was a real treat for my ego when people from children to the old folks just couldn't take their eyes off the machine. But enjoying something does not automatically equal having fun, right? The engine is clearly strong enough and offers nice torque too. As the first twin cylinder that got through my hands, it made a very good impression. The DCT system works probably as logical as it gets, and I also appreciate the possibility of sport shifting. But still, for the real fun and sporty ride, a manual transmission would be more suitable. On the other hand, Africa with DCT and electronic suspension is literally an adventure limousine, which to my surprise feels very light and nimble in turns, and despite its weight and dimensions, it is overall very smooth and agile.
Wanna hear you go.
Other than the aluminum panniers, my demo bike also comes with an engine guard. And it was exactly these two additional accessories that provided great protection when I lost traction on gravel and crashed the bike.
Yes, that is right. So, what happened? I slided on gravel actually. It was a nasty little fall. I was really expecting the worst as I was picking up the bike from the ground. But as you can see, the outcome is this scratch and damaged side case. What it means? It means the protective elements on this bike are very efficient. Side case being one of those, but nothing happened to the bike. I still can't believe it, and I hope I didn't blow my chance with Honda.
It is a pity that I don't have it on a video, since I think you'd have a good laugh at my expense. But on the more positive note, at least this incident allows me to bring you the only truly complete review. Wait, no, there's still something I need to deliver. Ready? Buckle up and let me share a little bonus in form of my very own off-road experience.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we are with today's big off-road challenge. We're gonna test the capabilities of this crazy wonderful machine. Let's go into the off-road mode. You ready? I don't know if I'm ready, but let's do it. Whew! Jesus Christ. This is something. Whoa. Oh, this is really something. I see some gravel here, a lot of holes. Oh. Oh, stride. Another one. And the bike is just floating. I mean, this is really a slippery, gravelly, off-roady terrain. Woo! And now I can safely say there's a nude beach. The off-road challenge is passed. Very exciting bike.
Okay, now you've seen it all. So as I promised before, now I can tell you in which situations I missed the manual transmission. It was specifically the last two topics of this video. The moment I crashed the bike and the off-road challenge. Obviously, the main reason for my crash was sitting somewhere between the handlebars and the panniers. However, if a rider has to rely 100% on electronics, it can pose certain risks which I honestly never thought about before. Without the possibility of light clutch work, you release the throttle a bit more in the wrong mode, at the wrong place, and it can lead to what happened to me. During my off-road challenge, I missed the light clutch work for the very same reason. I just couldn't really predict how much power the motorcycle would produce, as I didn't really have full control over it. That is why I stand by my personal suggestion that the DCT is a good investment mainly for those riders who prefer on-road adventures. Friends, we're coming to the conclusion of this video. Who should really get this motorbike, and who should maybe look around for other alternatives, or at least a different setup?
Alright, my freaky friends, back in the saddle again, but unfortunately it's time to wrap up this beautiful experience. When should you get one of these babies? You should definitely get the new Africa Twin,
If you're a man of taste, that's right, this is a premium bike. You should get it if you like adventure and if you like long distance traveling. You should get it if you're excited by the idea of a moto vacation. This bike is absolutely made for it. But you should get the DCT version only if you're not planning too much off-road adventures. It is really made for the road. Last but not least, you should get this bike if you have money and you're not afraid to spend it, because this baby costs something, but on the other hand, it is worth it. It is worth every penny. When shouldn't you consider this bike? I think you shouldn't get it if you're shorter than me. I'm 1.77 meters tall and I already feel like I'm on the edge. You shouldn't get one of these bikes if you're planning to spend most of your riding time in the city, because this is really made for adventures and long distance traveling. There's too much electronics, you don't need it in the city. You shouldn't get it if you're boring, because this is not a boring bike. This is an adventure machine for adventure lovers. Would Mr. Julian like to own this bike? Yes, he would, absolutely. Though I must say, I would really like this to be my second bike. It is my dream second bike. I would like to have something smaller and more compact for the city riding, and this baby would be waiting for me in the garage to be released and taken for a long trip. I would totally love that setup. Alright, my freaky friends, with that I'm closing this review. I need to return to Honda right now. Thank you very much for all your support. Thank you to my beautiful girlfriend for her support throughout this week. This wouldn't be possible without her. Thank you to Honda Slovakia for believing in me. And to you, my freaky friends, I say, take good care of yourselves and your loved ones. Be safe, stay safe, ride safe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Cheers, bye-bye.